Thankful Thursday. I'm going to turn the mic over to you, Lori, or Dove, or Sharon, or whomever. Mic over to you. Mic is all yours.
Well, good morning. Thankful Thursday. Hi, Dove, and good morning, Cher and Sharon and Mickey and Deb and anyone else who's out there. This lesson 57 is one of my favorites, and I have a interesting story to tell about it. I've told it here, but it's worth repeating. But let me read the part first. So, lesson 57, which is a review of lessons 31 and 32, I am not the victim of the world I see because I have invented the world I see. So, here we go. I am not the victim of the world I see. How can I be the victim of a world that can be completely undone if I so choose? My chains are loosened. I can drop them off merely by desiring to do so. The prison door is open. I can leave simply by walking out. Nothing holds me in this world. Only my wish to stay keeps me a prisoner. I would give up my insane wishes and walk into the sunlight at last. And then I have invented the world I see, the next review. I made up the prison in which I see myself. All I need do is recognize this, and I am free. I have deluded myself into believing it is possible to imprison the Son of God. I was bitterly mistaken in this belief, which I no longer want. The Son of God must be forever free. He is as God created him and not what I would make of him. He is where God would have him be and not where I thought to hold him prisoner. So when I first read this back in 2004, well, I did the course in 1986, but I didn't understand it at all. And then put it down for 17 years and picked it up again in 2003 with Gary Renard's Disappearance of the Universe, which made me understand what the course was saying. And from that point on, I couldn't get enough of it. Well, when I read this lesson about the prison and everything, I had been complaining to Rod about how awful the world was, and he was working down in our woods, and so I took the book and I ran down to the woods with the book and I said, look, Rod, even the course says that this world is a prison." And I was just so happy. I felt validated. Like, how come so many people think this world is so wonderful? I can't stand it. And I was just so excited, like, yes, yes, yes. But what was so funny was that's where I stopped. That was I didn't hear the rest of the lesson, which is the prison door is open. I can leave simply by walking out. That one went completely over my head for another 10 years. But at least, there's a social work axiom that says you start where the client is. And um, so, yeah, Mickey, it is funny. You start where people are. And that's what I love about this course is it starts where people are. So no matter where you are on your journey, you can relate to this book. And where I was in prison and putting myself there. And so I'm just so grateful these days that I can't do that anymore. I just can't get away with that. Although what's been interesting is that I've been feeling really down lately, like really unmotivated and uninspired and all of that. But the difference between this and in the past is that in the past I would have used some type of defense. Even waking up, I feel like I don't have any of my defenses anymore. I don't have even the idea of one day I'll be enlightened and all this will be gone. Or one day I'll die and all this will be gone. Or one day I'll have the perfect relationship and all this will be gone. And so it's been interesting. So even while I have not felt good at all, I recognize that it's an identification with the body and identification with the personality. And so it's kind of, there is always a part of me that's watching now. That never goes away. And when this will break, I don't know. Maybe today because it's sunshiny for the first day in a week. I don't know. Well, good morning to Sharonda from Arizona. And so I don't know. Um, but whatever, I'm just, when I breathe into my heart and I remember what I am as God created me. That makes me feel grateful. And that's what I go on. I just go on. Thank you, God, that I'm not the person I used to be. Thank you, God, that things are different, that I can't identify. Yeah, Mickey, go ahead.
Lori, I just think that's so wonderful that I think we've all reached a point where we understand what I heard this from Ken Wapnick. I don't know if anybody else has noticed it, but he says, whatever's going on, that's great. Just don't justify it. Don't say, I'm feeling bummed out because it's been raining for a week. Just notice the feeling. And in that way, Holy Spirit can help you out of it. So I I just think it's wonderful that we're starting to realize that kind of stuff. Thanks.
Thanks, Mickey. That was perfect. And just like what you wrote on the board, Dove, everything happens perfectly. So yeah, I don't know why I'm in this funk. I'm not used to it, and I'm anymore. I mean, it used to be my life. Um, but even yesterday, part of me was like, well, you know what? I just don't want to work my butt off to try to get out of this, which is what I've always done. So that's ego too. And in one sense, not being willing to, okay, I'm going to meditate and I'm going to read and I'm going to get out of this funk and I'm going to feel better. And because I shouldn't be feeling this sadness, because that's not what the Holy Son of God feels. You know, the Christ doesn't have sadness, and I'm suffering and I shouldn't be suffering. All that stuff. In a way, it's really good that I'm not working my butt off to try to get out of this and just kind of letting it pass like a wave. And it always does. But part of me is just, it can get tiring, the shifts and the moods and the swings, which come with come with duality, and I had been abiding as the Christ self for so long that this, like, I don't know, it's been off and on for the last 6 months, maybe, in and out and in and out. Of course, when I was in Mexico, no problem there. I was happy. But I don't even have the belief that if I moved to Mexico, things would be better. I just know that it's like, no, no, there's nothing outside of me that's going to make me happy. And so I am very grateful for that. I'm grateful to be awake enough to even go, you know what? If the dream character, Lori, has a default of, not being enthusiastic and motivated on these particular days or has mood swings, you know what? That's just the dream character. She's not who I am. And I don't have to freak out about that or just get all crazy, or I just don't. And that is different. So in that way, I'm grateful for that. So thanks for kind of like pointing that out, Mickey. Did I bunk my head? you know, I was sick last week. Um, I don't know about where else in the country this has been going around, but here there was just some type of virus. We were talking about it too. There's some type of virus where it just sapped your energy. And I haven't really come back from that. And and that's also unusual because I'm usually pretty healthy physically and I do everything right, so to speak. And what's really interesting is that in the past I could have, said, well, you eat too much sugar, you eat too much candy. I have not even been eating candy and sugar. And so even that, so I point to that section in chapter 31, section 4 that I brought up last week. You know, men have died on seeing this, that they found no relief in the ways of the world. And I think my last addiction or my last thing was, oh, you know, it's the way I eat. It must be the way I eat. But I feel really great not to be compelled to eat candy and cookies. I mean, it's still there. I still want them, but it's not a compelling addiction or anything. And it feels really good to be free of that. So it's like, well, you know, best I can do at this moment is not believe my feelings and not believe my thoughts because they're not mine, because I am as God created me. And that is the thing that I am most grateful for in the whole world, because it's the only thing that makes me happy. It's my happy place now, is remembering what I am. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Sharon.
Good morning, Lori. You know, I loved your sharing. The energies that come up are the energies that we haven't held. So when this sadness or apathy or whatever it is that comes up, it's an energy that wants to be embraced. It's alive in us because we make it alive, but they're just energies. And when we realize that, I was terrified of my mind because I think it was three clinical depressions, and that will do that to you. And when Miriam Williamson, who was my first course teacher, said, you know, it's all in your mind. And she was making jokes because she had a great sense. She still does sometimes have a great sense of humor. But she was like, well, but once it's up there, that's the worst place, right? I mean, haven't you remembered when you went to school and you had a test, or if you didn't study, or the mind is never, ever, ever going to accept anything. And the energies that want to be held is what the infinite needs to feel, because we are the infinite consciousness. The infinite has made a program for all of us. And the program is all about the fact that we have to kind of just transcend these energies, right? But I think it's great that you're feeling them and not, and it seems to me, Lori, that your judger has quieted down, you know. Now, I feel like, you know, certain things that are happening in the world brought me to guidance of doing a mind dump. And a mind dump is really morning pages. Julia Cameron has talked about it. And it's just a conscious flow of thought, not looking at your paper, not writing about what you're saying, all your hate, all of your stuff that you don't want. You just write it. And I did 3 pages of it, you know, a couple days this week at a time. And what happens is the mind gets silent. And you have a clear seeing that all of this was just clutter in the mind. And none of it means anything. You know, I knew that Julia Cameron, because I have never read The Artist's Way, but I have another book of hers that's for seniors. And it's all about, like, it's never too late to do what you need to do. You know, what I've been guided a lot to is growing older with passion, growing older with accepting and also excitement. You know, the conditioned mind is prone to feel bad that it's not going to be here as long as it wants to be. It always wants something. It's a wanting machine. You know, it's constantly, and my dog is a perfect character for that because he always wants something from me, you know, and it's hard for me because of still the guilt that lies in my mind that I don't want him to be upset. So I answer his call too much. Well, you know, when you do that to a dog, the dog is in charge. And that's pretty much what's happened here. It's a relationship where I'm his mom and I'm supposed to be the boss, but no. No, he pretty much, you know, he doesn't like my art room, and that's downstairs. So when I go down there, he starts talking and whining, and most of the time I don't have the patience to listen, so I go back upstairs with him. These are all breadcrumbs of my egoic thoughts still wanting to have its way. What if I just let them cry? I mean, is that horrible? That's only the mind that wants to please the dog, right? The dog is as much Christ as I am. So it's all about this learning curve. And Lori, I think what you're not just being okay with just being blah is a good sign, a really good sign. Because, the defense mechanisms, we want to cover them up. And that's where the mind dump got me into just, the flow of this subconscious, get rid of the thought. You can do Ho'oponopono, you can do any of it. But you can't step out of the stream too. All you have to do is say full stop. Full stop, I'm in charge. I rule my mind because that's what I do. That's my job. But the secret here is to know your mind. And that's what happens a lot to this mind. It believes it's still a body. And when it believes it's still a body, it has every awful thought that you could ever ask for. So I'm looking for ways to just love it because it wants to be loved. Loving is about, pretty much embracing whatever is here. The ego wants us to be happy in the ego because it wants us to stay in the ego. But, what I saw in my mind was how important it is to be aware of the fact that I'm mind. And the decision maker is the part of me that makes a decision that it's had enough garbage. It doesn't want the garbage. This is a crazy world. It's insane. And it seems to me like it's so much more obvious to, at least for me, to see that everything the Course is saying is so true, that there's just no peace here. And, what I always thought was peace was running to somebody to share my disdain for something, or something that could make me connect and believe that I'm one with that ego. When in fact, it's all about grievances. It's not about love. I mean, love is what we are, right? So what I love about the Course is it's so forgiving too, Lori. It's the most forgiving book. Just choose again. What I always would do is just talk about how I fell down the rabbit hole. But what does that really mean? You can only fall down. Once you realize you fell down, you're no longer in the ego. Once you look at something and you just look and judge not, and you realize that self-realization is about getting these concepts out of the way by seeing that none of them are you, because they are, even though my power makes them alive in the sense that, it's in the awareness, but they're so meaningless. But the thing that, what I'm gravitating towards more now is the silence. Last night we went to a meeting on grief because Cliff and I are grief facilitators for the community near me. And we took a course and it was very interesting. And as a person, I want to do these positive things because the more positive you get by helping, the better you feel because you do rule your mind. The lesson today is really all about the fact that I've invented this world by my concepts. Sure, it was subconscious, and sure, the mind did it. And, I thought I was a person, so I didn't do it, but I'm a mind. And the mind that I am is the wrong mind when I believe I'm in personhood, because there's nothing in personhood that has any value. Now, this morning I listened to Ken Wapnick, and it was, as usual, profound, but he was talking about special relationships. And that's something I got to dig into because I sense there's a lot of guilt in me to let these go, because I still hold on, as if it means something. If my family is the Son of God, everyone in it, then they're the same and they're equal. And to get real peace is to see that only equals are at peace. So, we make up the prison. And we are compelled by the fact that we're living in a world of our own making and believing it's being done to us. But by getting into the self-realization and realizing we're not even there. There's no person there. It looks like I'm here. It's false evidence appearing real. That's all it is. This is false evidence. And what I also have been conscious of is just saying full stop. As soon as you say that, the thoughts drop. And then there's some times where I get mesmerized by the thoughts and the beliefs. And I'm judging again. And see, the whole point of this dream is to let go of judgment. Once judgment is let go of completely, you're in the now. Now, I am in the holy instant. I have had many shifts, and I say that the alive awareness is alive, and I'm in the holy instant. However, ego gets mad at me that I don't practice it. Ego is the one that says, well, you don't even care that you're in the holy instant. Like, you're still talking about a story that never happened. And I realized that it's only the ego that ever wants to wake up. It's only the ego that wants to do something great. And by the way, getting enlightened makes them extremely special. At least for this mind, it did. I thought people that were enlightened, and all it is your natural state. Your natural state. As far as I see it anyway. I mean, I hear people say it's just so beautiful, so beautiful. And these are words. There's no words to describe what this feels like. It's just a letting go. It's getting rid of all those cobwebs of thoughts and realizing I'm in charge. I made up the world with my mind. I take 100% responsibility. And I realized that I could see peace instead of this when something comes up. There's so many gifts from God, from the Course in Miracles. So just for now, I'm going to stay here and just be okay with nothing. I mean, no thing. This is the thing about us. Who we really are is just this ephemeral, like, beautiful. You could say spirit. You could say noumenon. There's so many words for God. But at the same time, none of the words will ever, ever make anyone feel great because you're still in a concept. The allness is what we are, and that's all we need to give. And what does that really mean? It means total love. Love without conditions, period. Anyway, with that, I'm going to drop the mic and, just reminding myself through the day, I am mind. I am not a body. That's the most important part of the Course in Miracles. Anyway, at least I think so. Thank you. Dove, it's your mic.
Okay. Thank you so much. And yet you're so right, Sharon. There's so many words for God. And the one that I've been using lately is love, just pure love. And that is what we are. And one of the ideas of pure love is I am not a body, which I think any one of these 20 lessons is the whole course. When you really, at least for me, when you really look at what the 20 lessons are saying is I'm not a body. I'm free now. What does it take to walk out of the prison? There's no prison. I'm not a body. So, yes, Lynn, this is not Ash Wednesday. I wish it was. I fell twice in the middle of the night, twice within 2 minutes. One time over here, and the other thing, this is nothing. This will go away. The other thing is my foot from my ankle to my toes is swollen. I will probably have to go to a doctor to get x-rays to see if any bones are broken. I believe no bones are broken, but the swelling doesn't go down, so I have to check it. So much for my physical body. Now to the good parts. I am not a body. So as you know, today is the last day of any one of these 20 lessons. Actually, it's 22 lessons. Today is the last of those 22 lessons. And next week, Michaeli and myself will be starting the new program. I have a new title. I know I've changed the title a number of times, but this one seems to be, and it's about 12 words long. So you might say, my God. So it says only, and you know how I feel about the word only acceptance and applying the metaphysics do we demonstrate our vigilance for love and the kingdom. That's the title of, it's going to be approximately another 4-month, 2 or 3, 4-month session. And it's about the metaphysics, but I was at Maureen's, and I happened to mention the word metaphysics, and Maureen said, well, for those people who don't understand the metaphysics, is anything other than the physical. It's above the physical. It's beyond the physical. And that's very important to understand. It's beyond. So in this world, we idolize the physical, right? And the word idol is very important here because, as you probably know, in the text, it has mentioned a number of times the altars and the idols that we have on it. And I never really understood. What do you mean by the altars? Now I understand what the altars are. It's what we idolize. So we can give word recognition to the metaphysics, and that's like reading a book and not understanding anything. You have to apply the metaphysics. I mean, the first one is I'm not a body. You need to apply it, not to say it. To say it is nothing. To apply it is everything. So the metaphysics of this course needs to be applied, not only accepted. And the word accepted, as you know, as Ken Webber said, is the most important word in this course. It's like your sole responsibility in this world is to accept the atonement for yourself, to accept. And to accept the atonement for yourself is the ultimate metaphysics of this course. And it's your sole responsibility. It's your only responsibility is to accept the atonement for yourself. And what does the atonement say? That I'm not even here. I never left home. We never left home. But to say these words is nothing. But to mean it is everything. Yeah. To go through life applying and accepting the metaphysics is the way to be vigilant for God and the kingdom. Now, that you might recognize be vigilant for God and the kingdom from, it's the third of the 3 lessons of the Holy Spirit. That's chapter 6, section 5, A, B, and C. I used to kind of smile and laugh. The Holy Spirit doesn't have 365 lessons. The Holy Spirit only has 3 lessons. I always understood the first 2. Always understood the first 2. The first one is to have, give all to all, which the ego says, what are you, crazy? I'll have nothing for myself. The second is to, Sharonda, do you want to speak? Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'd rather speak after you're done with your thoughts. Please go ahead.
Okay. The second is to have peace, teach peace to have it. And what I always remember from that is he starts off by saying, you got to give up the getting habit. You have this whole thing about getting. Getting is the same thing as more. I need more. That's the Antichrist. So the reversal in thinking comes from, instead of getting, I already am, I already have, I am the Holy Son of God. Now, the third one was always a little, like airy-fairy. Be vigilant for God and the kingdom. What does that mean, be vigilant for God? Of course I'm vigilant for God again. Oh, what do you mean by be vigilant? Be vigilant for the metaphysics of this course, because that's the only way out of the prison. How about number 1, which is my birthday lesson, 132? There is no world. This is the central thing this course teaches. Can I live in that? Can I breathe in that? Can I be that there is no world? How about my other birthday lesson? You say you got 2 birthdays? Yeah, on leap year, I have lesson 133. Which one is that, Dove? I will not value what is valueless. What's valuable belongs to me. Oh, really? What is valueless? Everything in this world has no value to you whatsoever. Anything that begins in time and ends in time has no value to you, the eternal. Anything that's quantitative, something you can measure, has no value. Let's see, does that include like green paper strips? Yeah. Are you counting your green paper strips, Dove? Yeah. That's why we're saying not only accepting and applying is to demonstrate your love for the love of God. So you can have all kinds of idols in this world, and they are saying to God, I don't need you. I don't need you, God. I have my own way of seeing how good I am, how rich I am, how wonderful I am. I don't need you, God. Or you let go of all those idols that don't mean anything, meaningless. My meaningless thoughts showing me a meaningless world. Nothing I see here means anything. Well, just in case it means something, doesn't that mean that you give all the meaning? Yeah. You got to laugh at this course, really. It's so simple. With that, I'll call on Sharanda. Sharanda, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be with you on this screen or on the Zoom, because I usually wake up between 6 and 6:30 if I do. And I think, let me try to sleep another hour. But today I got going, and I'm so grateful to be with you. There's so many things you all have spoken that have touched on things that are so meaningful to me today. I don't mean even what you were just speaking about, what's valueless. It's like more and more the things I would take issue with, I don't even want to. I don't mean I don't go there and get caught up, but more and more there's that part of me that really recognizes it has no value. This isn't even going on. So, and Course tells us I'm responsible for what I see. My thoughts are images my mind has made. It's about me and my thought in relation to the world that my thoughts are projected upon, and then I experience, and I get confused about cause and effect because I react to what's going on in the world. And it's been so helpful from complementary study. I don't know how Course says this, if it does, but these these are not even my thoughts. Meaning this is the consciousness, the awareness, human awareness to which we are born into. We're conditioned, hypnotized, and then we think they're our thoughts, but they're not even ours. It's the consciousness of humanity the good news is that as I go beyond and withdraw my belief and my faith in these things of the world, I come into a greater awareness of who I am and another consciousness, I'll say, that not only benefits me, my relationships, my circumstances, my physical condition, my physical health, it's there to impact everybody. We have a change of thought, how we show up. Course tells us clearly it impacts everybody. You know, sadness is changed to joy. This is changed to that. And it's the only thing to do. And that's very exciting to me. There's nothing I need look upon and have fear about. There's nothing I need look upon or experience with any of my senses that I need to stop and be in some kind of relationship with, other than to look upon it and recognize it is not, it's nothing. However that happens, you know, there's so many expressions before I got into more serious study, like where did it go? Like be in the world and know you're not of the world. Be in the world but not of the world. There's so many expressions that I don't value anymore that I thought were pretty cool back in the 80s. But this one, be in the world and know I'm not of the world, that's huge. To walk the earth, to be here, experiencing the things of the world perhaps, but to absolutely know my identity is spiritual. Because without that, I'm in the dream. Without my awareness of who I truly am, it's a pretty slippery slope. So I'm grateful, and there's more joy. There's more joy. I have someone in my life who says to me, let the spiritual, however he says it, let the spiritual be, let it come gently. I don't have to work so hard. There's nothing I have to do in a sense, except have that vigilance for the kingdom. I do have to have dominion over the thoughts that I think. Otherwise, I'm participating in illusion. Otherwise, I'm in that. So, but let it come gently. I don't know what I've ever done gently in my life, but I'm learning. I'm learning about it. And Dove, what you said about going beyond concepts, that is so key. Without applying, it's fun to talk this, but without applying it, we don't get to have the experiences. So we come into, I know this. It's not just words and concepts. I've come to believe I know this because I've experienced it. And that's a turning point. That's a really beautiful place. Thank you. Good to be with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharonda.
Thank you, Sharonda. That was nice. I appreciate what you just said about your friend saying, don't work so hard, because that was kind of what I was saying earlier too, that it's like, you know what? I'm not going to double down and do my affirmations and do my meditation and do my reading to try to get out of this funk because, oh, I can't stand these feelings. But with that awareness of only the ego wants enlightenment. And so even that, well, okay, this is my goal. My one goal is God. I recognized, a while ago in the last year or two that it was like, wow, even the ego is, because people say, what are you doing lately? And I'll go, no, I'm just, letting go of ego, releasing this, releasing that. But even that was ego saying that. So getting to this place of more gentleness and more compassion. I'm so grateful for that, because in the past, in this kind of mood, I would have been rip roaring, hatred, volatile, is yuck, hating this, hating that, and disdaining this and judging the ugh. So I really appreciate the validation, Sharon, that you brought up. That sounds like your judger has quieted down, and that I love that. Thank you. That, and I'm so grateful for that. It certainly has nothing to do with me. That's just more of spirit coming through. So, and Dove, I appreciate what you were saying, that to say this means nothing, but to mean this means everything. And so I had an interesting thought that I never would have had in the past. So any new thoughts I think can be good. But it was like, even if, you know what, even if the dream character just has to be content the rest of her life, and I don't bust my butt to rah rah sis boom ba, be happy, be cheerful, be all of this, like, because part of me goes, well, how can I be an inspiration to other people if I'm blah and I can't be? But yesterday, when I was talking to one of my close friends, she goes, "You're one of the most compassionate people I know." She goes, "You've helped me. I mean, be compassionate," because people would say, "Don't be so hard on yourself." But you would say, come on, bring that into your heart. Just be compassionate with, you've worked so hard. This is tough. This human experience is like climbing Mount Everest. Every single day, all of us are climbing Mount Everest. Anyway, that was very nice for me to hear that from her, because internally, I have not felt like I've been that compassionate with my clients, certainly, but not in general. But that has taken over. So, like, even though I'm not where I would like to be, I would like to be in bliss land. I would like to be what people would call enlightened, or, free from all this, free from the ever sliding back into ego thought system. But I'm not. You know what? I'm not. And whatever. And I know that, but I also know that that's not me. And I am so grateful. I am so grateful. Do not value what is valueless, which is why I can't do my old routine. Even I'm going to meditate for 4 hours today, or I'm going to be so focused on this health that, I always feel up and good. I can't even do that anymore, because it's like, that's ego trying to be a better ego. And I've seen so much. And then, like, even a couple of weeks ago, when I read Bob Sears's book on relationships, from specialness to shared purpose, and I saw, wow, oh my God, that's what Rod used to say about me. That's what I was doing. And I didn't even see it. I could never feel it until I read Bob's book. I went, oh, yeah, I can see where that would come off controlling or manipulating or demanding. And I didn't even mean it that way. And letting that go. Back then, I was trying really, really hard to be a good relationship partner, and I was still screwing up all over the place. And don't we do that? And so, yeah, now I finally do have compassion for the human experience, which is tough, tough, tough. It sucks a lot of the times. It really does. And I will talk with my clients about that. And Sharon's got a heart there. Like with my client, I was, he struggles a lot. He's a new course student. And I said, well, think about it. A baby comes out of the womb, and what is it? It's survival, and it's terror from the moment you come out of the womb. If you're fine if you're fed and you're changed and you're warm and you're held, but any of those things, and you're in terror, you're in survival from the get-go. And then the rest of the life, it just gets harder and harder. So Gloria, and you wrote on the board, anyone seemingly here slips into ego. The doubt that comes up is our gift in seeing it differently. Yeah, so thank you for that validation again. I really appreciate that. And I love being able to come on here and just be honest and not have to prove myself. I was saying to my friend yesterday, I said, I think one of the reasons I'm not one of those big teachers out there is because I can't keep up pretenses. When I feel like this, if I'm in front of a big room full of people, I would be just like this. I can't fake anything. I can't be happy if I don't feel it. And then Sharon, what you were saying about full stop, I had been saying this yesterday quite a bit, like, no, my mind holds only what I think with God. These are not my thoughts. Peace to my mind, let all my thoughts be still. So I was doing, I rule my mind, like you had mentioned, lesson 236, I rule my mind, which I alone must rule. And nothing was working to get me out of this funk, not even meditating and, sitting there and breathing into my heart. So I'm like, okay, I give. All right, God, if this is the way it is, okay, all right. I'm just grateful, and I know the truth beyond this feeling or these feelings. I know these feelings are not who I am and what I am. So with that, I'm going to turn this back over to you, Sharon.
Thanks, Lori. I never said hello to everybody today either, because I know Cher's here, and I spoke to her the other day. And Deb, hello. And Mickey and Glorian. And who else is here? Wait a minute. Dove's here. And Sharonda. Yeah, and Lynn. Yeah, it's a nice crowd. It's a nice part of our sonship here. Anyway, the vigilance comes automatically. It really does. It just comes as an organic process. And we're supposed to be steering it, but there are times where we fall down, or I fall down the rabbit hole. And, it's not a big deal, because once you catch it, you're out of the ego. That's the whole process. What Ken Wapnick was saying this morning basically was, we're not asked to give this stuff up. We're just asked to pretty much be willing to give it up. Because that willingness comes from spirit. It doesn't come from the ego. And, it's an interesting time in the world to do this kind of work, because all of the stuff that we're seeing that's seemingly happening is just bringing up all of our crap, and that's pretty much the way I think consciousness works. It's there to help us. If everything is for me, right, what can happen to me? Nothing. Because the me is the formless. And to be clear with myself is to, like I told you in the last, when I last shared, that this mind dumping, or just morning pages, or just writing in your, free consciousness writing, just writing, how it just ebbs and flows, all these thoughts, and they don't mean anything. But there never are thoughts, because the ego can't be us. The ego is just a thought. It's an image. There has to be, in this mind, some belief in unworthiness still. But I realize I am in a process, and the process is here. And how I indulge in it is the decision maker's job. Like, if you don't pick the decision maker, and I keep thinking I'm this body, which does seemingly happen through the day, there's a confusion that comes up, because right away, there goes Sharon again. She sewed this, and the character is ephemeral. It's not anything you can hold on to. It's amazing what this consciousness, God consciousness, can do. The miracles to look at what we've made, and how much gratitude that we know who we are. If we don't know it all the time, so what? We're getting there. It's just like anything else. It's just part of growing our consciousness, to realize that unity consciousness is the only consciousness we want. The separation will sting. It will hurt, because it's not true. What's true feels good. What's not true hurts. And it hurts in a way that we don't deserve it. We don't deserve this ridiculous play that we're in. But if we use it, for a function, that our only function is to remember that to awaken, to be called to awaken in every moment. Because every time I go back into the, dream, I'm in the Big Bang. That's what it is. The Big Bang starts over all the time. Ken was saying you can step out of this right now. And you can. It's all choice there. But just realizing that as soon as you do step out, you are in the infinite, because the infinite is all that's really here. These are just the thoughts patterns are just that. They're vibrational energies that come in, and then as the infinite consciousness, I put my attention on it, and then I go back into the personhood and I get nothing. So it's learning in every moment how important it is to be vigilant for God, in the sense that trust comes in. Trust is the most important part of this process. Trust, the special relationship is the one relationship that I think I've held on to with certain things, right? My body, the kind of food I like, all of that. But this is between me and spirit at this point. It's kind of like, well, everybody here is spirit and everybody is me, and it's all projection from my mind and everything is my consciousness. Then it's time to celebrate the now, to celebrate that we can't go higher than what we are. Obviously, this is a reflection, though, of heaven. But I was saying in my last time I came around was getting older does not have to mean anything negative. It can mean excitement. You look at Dove and you look at Rafi, and they're in their 80s. And Robert, he blows me away, Robert. He has, oh my God, his writings, you could spend hours just reading his stuff. So looking forward to the fact that we're aging, and do that with grace. The amount of gratitude that I have for this process, because I can say right now, if I thought I was 100% the character, I would not be a happy person now. The emotional body that I carried would be very emotional about, the haves and the have-nots. But it's all part of the game. And it is a game. That's what we're playing. So how do we play today? We become winners. We start over in every moment. And we full stop when we can't bear any more of this tension. Obviously, when I've had shifts, the tension has fallen away. And it doesn't come back. In different parts of the body, it might come back. But that's what these thoughts are. They're bringing tension and they're taking us out of flow. Following the flow is to be silent and to follow spirit, because spirit is the flow. So I think the greatest gift I can leave, because it's time for me to stop now, but is to realize that I messed up here, I messed up there, but who's the I that messed up? The one that doesn't exist. So we're all winners here. And we all are the highest high. We are the Son of God. We are no different than Jesus. And we are pure love. In fact, we are the children of love. I wouldn't say that we're God so much as I would say we're the children of God, because we didn't create ourselves. And that is the authority problem. In any case, I'm going to say everybody have a beautiful day, and I'll be here most of the day just listening and enjoying everything that everyone's saying, because we pretty much are all done with it. It gets old after a while to play with these thoughts and to believe we're going to, the thing that Ken was bringing up constantly this morning is this is nothing. And having nothing and then making it something and then being miserable is crazy, right? So anyway, over to you, Dub, and thank you everybody for joining with us today.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Sharon. You put it in such flowing terms. I like the idea. Holy Spirit is the flow. And am I listening to ego who says, hey, you got to take care of some stuff first? No. If I'm accepting the atonement for myself, and that's my only responsibility. Your sole responsibility in this world is to accept the atonement for yourself. You don't have to take care of any stuff because you're not here to. There is no stuff. What do you mean there is no stuff? I got plenty of stuff, right, Dove? So I was looking at the word altar. In the last segment, I mentioned the word altar. I said, well, it's one thing to say the word altar is mentioned, but why don't you look it up, Dove? It might be helpful. So I looked it up, and this altar appears in a lot of places. But the one that occurred to me to take a look at first it's in chapter 2, section 3. It's called the altar of God. So when we idolize the things in this world, and that's what you do on an altar, you have things that you idolize, you money or the body, you idolize bodies, idolize anything, thing, keyword is thing, of this physical world, we make important, we turn it into an idol. So Happy's telling me, I'm an idol too. I want you to take care of me too. That's true. Happy is definitely an idol. Happy, be good. Be good. So at the bottom of page 21, I'm going to look at the paragraph. It says, the acceptance of the atonement by everyone, really, is only a matter of time. That's the first sentence. The acceptance of atonement by everyone is only a matter. I always think, well, I'm going to do it at the end of my life. I'm going to accept the atonement, and then I'm not here. No, you're right here in the dream, but you accepted the atonement first. That's your only responsibility. Once you accept the atonement, guess what? As Ken Wapnick says, if you're kind to everyone, and the key word is everyone, you can't leave anyone out, you really don't have any need for the metaphysics of this course. So Dove is saying the metaphysics is everything. No, you have to be kind to everyone. So there's a place in the course that says, kindness created me kind. So it's in lesson 67. Love created me like itself. So love is another word for God. God created me like itself. Holiness created me holy. Kindness created me kind. Helpfulness created me helpful. Remember, I'm here only to be helpful. And perfection created me perfect. Can you imagine that? No wonder everything happens perfectly. Nothing's happening here. Nothing's happening here. That's the dream. The dream is something's happening here. No, if you're not smiling, then something is happening here. But as soon as you start to smile and relax on it and say, yeah, right, it's a great movie. It's really a great dream. You're not in the dream anymore. So again, your acceptance and applying the metaphysics of this course is the only, how I feel about the only way to demonstrate. To teach us to demonstrate. I always thought teachers demonstrate, just be a nice guy. No, to teach us to demonstrate that I have accepted the atonement for myself, and everyone has accepted the atonement for myself. It only happens in time, and time itself is an illusion. No wonder I can be kind to all, because we are the one Son of God. Can you imagine? And with that, I turn this mic on over to whoever wants this mic. I love you all.
Well, thanks everyone. It's Zulma's turn now, so we'll see you guys next Thursday.
Thank you.
Thanks you guys so much. And thank you. And it's so funny. I'm looking at that passage that you were talking about, Dove, it's only a matter of time. And only, what does only mean? How many times does Jesus, in this section, he says only 6 times. 6 times he uses the word only, and every single one of them is a different instance of the word only. Only the first step, only part of it, only a matter of time. What does that only mean? It means that there's nothing else. If it's only, there's nothing else. So it's only a matter of time. Is it? I just hear Jesus just chuckling when he says that. It's so funny because, yeah, that's all it is. It's all, that's the entirety of it. It's a matter of time. What I think about time, what I imagine time, how I see time. It's